Hello guys, and welcome back to another video. I thought in today's video we could, since the weather's warming up, especially here in Florida where I live, and we're starting to get some of those warmer days, starting to get those summer allergies, I thought we could talk about some books that I highly recommend for summer and talk about some books that I am really looking forward to either coming out like this summer or like spring, and some books that I just am looking forward to reading this summer. I will start with a disclaimer. Where I live, May is summer. So for me, May is summer. Honestly, like April really is where I feel like spring ends. May is where summer begins. I know that's not technically correct, but by when summer like technically begins, which I think is like June 21st, it's like 110 degrees where I'm at. So May for me is the start of summer. I know that's not for everybody, but just for the sake of this video, I will be referring to May as summer. Sue me. So anyway, I just thought we could talk about some books that I have read during the summer or just really love to recommend as like a fun summer read. I feel like for me, summer reads are typically gonna be like a fun summer romance. They're gonna be lighthearted, they're gonna be easy. But I do have a few what I call like wild cards in there, and I don't know if they feel like a summer read to me because I read them close to summer, or if they're just like have those vibes, you know, like they're fun and entertaining, they feel like an adventure. Yeah, so we're just gonna go through some, and then I thought we could also talk about some books that I am really excited to read this summer, and or some new releases that are coming out that I'm excited to read. So let's dive in. The first book that I highly recommend, and this actually is kind of a two-parter because I actually recommend reading both of these and they kind of go together. So the first one is Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. I'm gonna put all the covers right here for you guys, but Every Summer After by Carly Fortune follows our two characters, Percy and Sam, and it kind of follows them from childhood to adulthood. It also follows a kind of particular event or series of events that lead to them no longer being friends. So they kind of start out meeting each other, becoming best friends, something happens, they are no longer friends, and then we kind of pick back up, the story picks up years later with them rekindling that connection. I don't want to go too far into the weeds because it would be definitely a spoiler, but the only caveat I will give for this book is it is definitely fairly emotionally heavy. There is some notes of grief, some notes of loss, so I will just preface by saying a little bit of a trigger warning there. I would definitely recommend kind of looking up any trigger warnings if grief, loss, those kinds of things are, you know, something that could be upsetting to you. Same thing with like sickness. There's some sickness in there. But in general, it is maybe not what I would consider a lighthearted summer read the whole time, but it's such a heartfelt summer read. It feels like watching The Notebook on a Saturday night in the middle of summer. It's raining, you're sobbing with your friends, and it's like it kind of has that same level of like emotional devastation, but also just like heartwarming, and it just like it was a book that really made me feel something, and for me that's always a win. I'm pretty sure I gave this book 5 stars. I absolutely loved it, which kind of takes us directly into our next book, is One Golden Summer, essentially the sequel to Every Summer After. And I say that because I think if you look it up, it does say it is an independent standalone. However, if you read if you read One Golden Summer first, it kind of spoils what is, I believe, essentially the plot for Every Summer After, and I know this because that's how I read it. We picked up One Golden Summer for book club last year, and I read that and was really liking it. I think I would give, in comparison, One Golden Summer maybe a 4, and then Every Summer After like a 5. I personally preferred Every Summer After, Every Summer After I preferred. However, I do think One Golden Summer is still really good. I think you should read Every Summer After, and then if you want kind of a lighthearted pick-me-up after that, to read One Golden Summer. And One Golden Summer follows our main character Alice and our main character Charlie, who is Sam's brother. And we're essentially following Alice coming back to the lake that she went on a vacation on when she was younger. And she's essentially kind of re-sparking her joy for being young and being reckless and doing exciting things. She's kind of one of those people that is like takes herself too seriously, takes life very seriously, which is not a bad thing, but she just finds herself like yearning almost for like that feeling of being a teenager where you kind of do first, ask questions later, and she makes like a summer bucket list that she wants to go through, and we kind of follow her and Charlie's journey through that, which is really fun. I will say, small trigger warning for this book. There is, again, kind of just some themes of potentially sickness, things like that. So I would just look that up if that is something that you personally are sensitive to. But overall, I think One Golden Summer is a lot lighter than Every Summer After. And I do wish I had read Every Summer After first. I didn't love going into Every Summer After knowing what the plot twist was gonna be. But if things like plot twists stress you out, then sure, read them in whatever order you want. But either way, I think that they are great summer reads. They're a little bit unique, in my opinion, because they're not actually beach reads, they're lake reads, in the sense of they take place on a lake, which I love. They take place on a lake, one of the Great Lakes up in Canada, I believe, and I have never considered, being like a Florida beach girl, a lake cabin summer, and these made me crave, like, think the Cabin and Heated Rivalry peak summer bliss. So highly recommend those. Another one I highly recommend is, I'm gonna go into my freaking Emily Henry spiel. I absolutely love this book, beach read. I also personally actually prefer People We Meet on Vacation a little bit more, but I think People We Meet on Vacation might be slightly more polarizing than beach read. I think beach read's a really good middle of the road Emily Henry to pick up. I thoroughly enjoyed beach read. That was actually, I think, my first Emily Henry, and I read it at the beach. Perfect ambiance, perfect scenario. And it's just, there are some like darker elements of that. The same thing, like Emily Henry definitely, I think, sometimes is like, trickles in a little bit of women's fiction into her books, or like the concept of like speaking about them, but I wouldn't necessarily say it was dark. I think, again, if grief is a trigger for you, I would definitely look up the trigger warnings, but I think in general it's dealt with in a very tasteful way. And in Beach Read, we follow Gus and January, and this is also about to be made into either a movie or a series, I'm not sure, so that's kind of like the perfect time to pick it up to get ready for that. And Gus is an author of literary fiction, January writes romance books, and they both so happen to end up, again, a lake read, they both so happen to end up at a lake in the summer, and they kind of spark this little competition where Gus says he will try to write a romance book, and January says she will try to write a literary fiction book, because they have a little bit of this like colleague like rivalry going on, and so they kind of take each other on these adventures of kind of going through their process of writing. So January like takes him to like a fruit stand and a carnival, and then he takes her to like investigate like a cult. So it's like very interesting the way that they like, their creative processes are obviously like polarizing, but they do have a lot in common because they're both writers, so they're able to kind of bond over that. But yeah, I highly recommend. The characters in this book are so funky, so fun. I love the way Emily Henry is able to like characterize a town and a group of people so well. I think this is perfect if you don't love a really cheesy summery romance book, or just a romance book in general, but you do want that kind of like lighthearted, not have to think about it, you're eating your sandwich, you're on the beach. This is it. This is for you. And then again, I always recommend People We Meet on Vacation. I think it's fantastic. I do think it's one of the ones that is not like as popular in the Emily Henry world for some reason, but that's always kind of like number one on my list. And that one is already a movie. So if you wanted to watch that read that and watch the movie, I think you should. And then kind of going into what I was talking about with my like more wild cards is Magnolia Parks. I read this last summer, and this is an interesting recommendation because I gave this book, I think, like maybe 3.25 stars or 3.5 stars because I was just confused. I was almost like, I don't want to say like hate reading it, because I definitely didn't hate it, but I was like binging it, but I was confused. I didn't know how I felt about it, but I kind of loved it. Like, Jessa Hastings, first of all, her writing is very interesting. I think she's able to write some very poetic lines in a way that like isn't poetic, but you're like, whoa, that's actually like kind of deep. You know what I mean? Like that vibe. And I have found myself, this is not, if you had asked me 6 months ago, if I was gonna make this video, this would not have been on my list. I have found myself craving reading this series some more. Like, craving the world, craving the chaos, craving the drama. I think it feels like if you ever watched Gossip Girl when they go to the Hamptons, that's what it feels like. And I kind of want to like, you know, manifest slash, no, I don't want to manifest this life. Don't get me wrong. But manifest slash fantasize about having like a nice summer in the Hamptons with my friends, whatever the London equivalent of the Hamptons is, because this is based in London. But she does have a book that is based in the US called The Conditions of Will. And so I think that might be the next one I pick up. But I do just want to throw this in here as like a wild card, because like, what do you mean? It's just like chaos, shopping, summer, London, sass, drama. And it's kind of fun. And I kind of think it would be a great summer read, especially on the beach, like just kind of like with your friends, you could all get together. I think this would be such a fun book club book. All get together, read about the drama, talk about all the unlikable characters, just everything. The bad decisions, I think it would just be like watching Gossip Girl, The OC, one of those old school 2000s, like pseudo soap opera shows. That's what reading this felt like, and I kind of ate it up, not gonna lie. Maybe I need to go back and change my rating because I'm still thinking about it. So anyway, I highly recommend it. But the next wild card is a wild card mainly for me because it's a fantasy book, and for me fantasy feels very much like September, October, fall, maybe like into like Christmas, winter, like dark, moody, except I read Heartless Hunter last March, which I know is more like spring and not summer, but I read this last March and was having so much fun with it. It is very fast paced. It is very simple yet complex in the sense of it doesn't take long to catch on to the magic system, the world building. It's really quick in that way, very fast paced, but I didn't feel like it was shallow. Like I felt like we got a really well-rounded magic system world without it taking 20 books to get there. And that for me is like, even as a series girl, like Throne of Glass, you guys know. You know how I feel about Throne of Glass. Sign me up. I'll read 9 books. Like, I'm not afraid of that. But sometimes you just want to like binge a little fantasy book and you want to not be spending the next year on it. And I feel like this is such a good option. This follows our main character Rune and also our main character Gideon. It's kind of like our MMC and our FMC. Well, sorry, Rune is the FMC, Gideon is the MMC. And it's a little witch hunter novel, so you get a little bit of that cat and mouse, that chase. I actually just recommended this to my friend Brooke and she's been loving it to my knowledge. It is, the yearning in this book is just unmatched in my opinion, especially considering there's like really no spice at all. The fact that I was just like kicking my feet, I wanted them to be together, I wanted them to hate each other. Like, you kind of love that they hate each other, but you also like, oh, you like kind of hate it because you want them to be together. Like, it kind of has that vibe, but it's also just so action-packed and so fun. And I think the like fast-paced action-packed part of it, like tied with the romance and the yearning, really just makes it like the perfect summer romance where you want to just be like, again, like cozying up after the beach in the evening, or even just, it's a hot summer night, you're sitting in your backyard, you know, it's whatever, and you have your book, and it's kind of like the darker hours of the summer, like evenings, you know, it's kind of like it's getting dark, whatever, it's 9 p.m. And you just want to pull this out and you want to have a good fun time. And for me, I'm a big like ambiance reader. Like, I really like the mood to match. So that's why summer sometimes is not when I like gravitate towards fantasy the most, but I feel like this is one of my exceptions. Another exception in the fantasy realm that I feel like is a fantastic summer read is The Cruel Prince. I absolutely love it. I didn't bring it up here for some reason. I actually have a physical copy, but I'll put a copy here or a photo here of what it looks like. This book is so whimsical. It is so whimsical. It is so silly, but it also has a fantastic plot. I think whenever I was looking into reading this for the first time, a lot of the reviews I saw were like, this is not a romance, like this is a fantasy, like this is a YA fantasy, and that's true. But I think for me, maybe this is something that's personal, I absolutely love yearning. Like they don't even need to touch. Like he just needs to be like thinking about her constantly and like just be obsessed, and then she needs to be like, why is he looking at me? And I'm like, sign me up. Hello, yes, I will read all. Give me 100 of them right now, I'll read them all. And The Cruel Prince has that. It has that. It has secrets, lies, betrays. It has like betrayals, I guess I should say. It has like a really funny cast of characters. Like I would love to see this turned into like an animated TV series or movie or something, because it really just gives that like super strong plot with like so much fun. Like it's just so fun. It's silly. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but at the same time, you open up to a pretty crazy thing. Like I don't want to spoil it because I remember reading like that first chapter and you just like, or maybe it's the prologue, but the very beginning, and you're just like, surely not, that's how we're starting out this book. And like it is technically YA, and I think it's appropriate for YA for sure, but it definitely feels mature, and I feel like I didn't feel like it was immature when I was reading it. There are some quirky parts that I think some people wouldn't love, but I think if you are into quirky, silly books, you would really like it. So that is another one I have to put on my summer list. Then let's see, one honorable mention, and this is an honorable mention because I actually have not read the full series. I'm a fake fan, but I have to throw in The Summer I Turned Pretty. I have read the first book in this series, and I did pick this up after I watched the show. And I will just say, I don't know if I recommend the books as much as I recommend the show because again, I just haven't read them all, but I have never had a show. So for example, I love TV. Again, I'm a big ambiance person, and Gilmore Girls for me is like year round, but like big time. Like it is on in the fall. It is my background. It is my life. And I have not been able for years to find a like summer show that made me feel that same type of, you turn this on, it's summer. I don't care where I am, who I'm with, what time of day it is, it's summer. Until I watched The Summer I Turned Pretty. Season 1 and like maybe 2, more than 3 to be honest, because what the hell was season 3, you guys? I'm excited for the movie to get some things wrapped up. But anyway, season 1 specifically just has like a special place in my heart. I will rewatch it over and over and over again. But I would love to actually read all of the books and see if it kind of sparks that same feeling. But I just like had to throw that out there because I've been getting an itch again to start watching The Summer I Turned Pretty for like the 10th time. I just am like, if I start watching it, it's gonna be over. And then it's like, do I just start back over from the beginning? I mean, like, I guess that's what I do for Gilmore Girls. So like, sure, maybe I will. Maybe I'll just start it right back over at the beginning. Maybe that's what I'll do. But anyway, I just wanted to throw that in as an honorable mention because it's not technically me fully recommending a book. It's a little bit more me recommending a TV show, but my heart could not handle it if I didn't like, if you haven't seen it, watch it. Watch it. Somebody you know has Prime. Somebody you know has Amazon Prime. Or somebody you know can probably plagiarize it. Not that I'm recommending that, but like, somebody you know can get it. Watch it. Do yourself a favor. Everybody I've recommended it to has been like, thank you. Thank you. And I'm out here to serve you guys. You know what I mean? Like, I'm out here to serve. Please. Trust me. Watch it. Okay. So, changing course a little bit. Now I want to talk about the books that I personally am really looking forward to in the summer to read and or that are coming out this summer. So the first one is Margot's Got Money Troubles by Rufi Thorpe. And this one I'm really excited to read because I'm so excited to watch the TV show with Elle Fanning. First of all, if Elle Fanning's in it, I'm gonna watch it. Same with Nick Offerman. if they're in it, I'm watching it. Like, you would have to, like, I don't know, put me on a deserted island to keep me away from that. And when I saw the trailer, I was like, this actually seems really interesting. And I had heard people talk about the book. I had heard people recommend it, but seeing the trailer actually really made me want to go read the book. So that is one that I'm kind of trying to convince my book club girlies to read it. But if we don't get around to it, I will definitely be reading this summer. I don't know a ton about it. I've seen the movie trailer, but again, I believe it is about our character Margot, who gets pregnant and then decides to keep the baby, and just kind of going through what that looks like for her. I think she's young. I think she's in college, so that's obviously, you know, a really challenging time, and that's a really challenging choice to make. But I am really excited to kind of just see how that goes, what the story's like, especially reading it. I feel like we'll like really get in Margot's head and like really get to know the character, and I would love to read it before I watch the show. So that's the first one I'm really excited to read. The second one I'm really excited to read is one I actually have already bought, and that is Just Friends by Haley Pham. I really love Haley, and she was like one of the first book YouTubers I actually started watching, and then from there I ended up watching Sarah Crowley and Destiny Sidwell and things like that. So she kind of like started me on book talk. Truly, she was I think the first book talk person I subscribed to. So when I saw she was writing a book, I was really excited because I think we do have really similar book tastes. So I'm very interested to see how that translates into this book. I know there's been like so much controversy around this for some reason. I'm like, you guys, if she wasn't a YouTuber, like, I think we probably would just be like, cool, great first novel. And like, I'm not gonna say like, I know, I haven't read it. Like, I will be completely honest when I do read it, what my thoughts are on this. Do I think it's gonna be a 5-star read? Probably not. It's really, I mean, honestly, the only like 5-star romance books I think I have is like a couple Emily Henry, and then that Carly Fortune book I told you guys about. Like, romance is not my top genre in terms of like 5-star reads that I find. I'm much more of a romantic-y girly, but I just think it's like, picking this up on the beach, like flipping through it, it's like, I don't imagine it takes itself too seriously. I think it will be so fun, and I'm really excited to read it just so I can, one, support a booktuber, book girly, and then also just because I think it's great to support people trying to express creativity to the best of our ability. Now, if it sucks, I'll tell you guys if it sucks, but don't imagine that it will be terrible. I imagine it'll be a perfectly fine summer romance book. So I am pretty excited about this. I did get the Target, I think this is like special edition for the release. I think it's got, yeah, because it's got like her little letter, and I actually do love the way she did like her chapters with the like drawings. I love that. I know she talked about Cruel Prince, which is, I got that recommendation from her when I originally read that, and how they do like illustrations on the pages, and I do love that. I have heard the one thing I'll agree with, and I will let you guys know how much I agree with this once I fully read it, is that she uses a lot of big vocabulary words. That is personally a bit of a pet peeve of mine, but at the end of the day, I think my mentality on books is if it gets in the way so much that it's like every chapter, every time I'm getting into it, it brings me out, like it is gonna kind of lower my rating. But if it's like 2, 3, even 5 times in a book this big, it's like, what percentage is that? You know what I mean? Of where I'm like, I wouldn't have said that, or like, I had to Google that or whatever. I might roll my eyes, but like, some people enjoy that. Some people really enjoy throwing big words out. My husband is one of them. He will randomly use a word that I'm like, huh? What does that mean? Dictionary, define that. Human language, thank you. And he just like loves using big vocab words for some reason. And I'm just like, okay, I guess. So some people are just like that. And you know what? I love my husband. He's not a weirdo, and he's not trying to like one up anybody. So I feel like knowing that, like going into this, I can cut it a little slack. I can cut it a little bit of slack. So yeah, I'm excited to read this. I think that the like sprayed edges are really cute. And yeah, that's one of the ones I'm looking forward to. And this also is a new release. So a new release / summer I'm looking forward to reading. Let's see, what is next? Oh, one I'm so excited to read, not a new release, this is an older book, but I'm really excited to read Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I actually know zero about this, but my friend Madison has been wanting to get this on our book club roster for a while, so I think we probably will do that. We have a little book retreat girls trip in June that we're doing, so I think this could be a really fun book to read before we go on that trip. I think Abby Jimenez is so interesting. I've actually never read one of her books, so this would be my first. And I know she writes all her books on her phone, which is crazy. Like, literally, like, text style, full books. Like, girl, how are you doing that? Like, I can imagine just, like, scrolling back to, like, if you're on chapter 5 and you're like, oh yeah, what did I say in chapter 3? That would take years, you know? But anyway, this is one I'm really excited for. Yeah, like I said, I actually know zero about it. Let's see, I'm gonna look it up. Okay, Emma, oh, okay, yes, I actually do know about this. Okay, so yes, so Emma and Justin both believe that they are, like, cursed, and they both date the person, like, they're the last person someone dates before they find their, like, the one. So, okay, that's really interesting. So they basically are like, okay, well, we'll date each other and it'll, like, cancel out. So, like, if I'm cursed and you're cursed and we date each other, then we'll both find who we get married. And, like, low-key works, apparently. I mean, obviously it's a romance book. I'm imagining they end up together, but yeah, okay, no, that actually looks really nice. So that was published 2 years ago, so it isn't a new release, but I think that'll be a really good first Abby Jimenez for me. It gets, like, 4.4 stars on Fable, so I am excited about that one. Another one, let's see, I am gonna kind of try to, like, go through these. So 2 new releases that I'm really excited about is Fury Bound by Sable Sorensen. So this is the sequel to Dire Bound. This is one that I actually probably would not read in the summer. It, like, at least the first one takes place in kind of like a wintry, like, location, so I would typically probably like to save this, but I don't know if I will be able to physically wait to read this book because I love Dire Bound so much. It was so interesting. So that one will be, like, we'll play that by ear. If I, like, get the itch and I just, like, cannot wait, I'll read it, but I also might save it for fall. Same thing with Broken Dove by Danny Francis. This is the sequel, and both of these come out in May. This is the sequel to Silver Elite, and I did actually read Silver Elite last summer in June, so this one maybe. Again, this is also one I probably would typically read around the fall, so both of these are kind of up in the air for me as, like, if the mood hits, if the mood strikes. But in general, I will say Silver Elite was very good, and it ended on a cliffhanger, and I might have to pick it up, especially just to not see spoilers, like, just to know what happens. So we'll see. I will keep you guys posted on that. And then I already said The Conditions of Will. I'm really looking forward to potentially reading this summer, kind of following my Magnolia Parks thing, or, like, craving, I guess I should say. And then let's see, I also, okay, another release in May, there's so many May releases, is Our Perfect Storm by Carly Fortune. And this looks like a bit of a childhood best friends to lovers, which is just, like, kind of the, like, one of my favorite tropes. So I, especially having loved 2 of Carly Fortune's books so much, I think this is definitely going to be on my summer reading list. And I am a little nervous because I will say, this is giving people we meet on vacation low-key, actually. But anyway, no, I will say her books tend to be fairly emotional, so I might save this for, like, towards the end of the summer, like, winding down. I don't know why that makes it feel better to me, but we'll see. Maybe I can convince book club to read this one. I think a lot of them thought our One Golden Summer was pretty good. I think the consensus was, like, a 3.5 overall, so maybe I can convince this so I can have some, like, emotional support while reading it. Yes, let's see. Okay, finally, the final book I'm looking forward to reading. I have kind of had this on and off of my list, or on my list, but, like, not at the top of my list for a really long time, and so I'm kind of ready to just go ahead and read it, is The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. This sounds so interesting. It's about a girl named Clementine who basically gets, her aunt passes away and she is able to move into her apartment. And then somehow like there's like a time split where she meets this guy who actually exists 7 years in the past. Not sure how that happens. I think it's probably one of those books, kind of like if you've ever seen the movie About Time, where it's like it's a rom-com and then randomly there's time travel and it's like why, and it's not explained. It's just like just because there is. I feel like that's kind of gonna be how this is. And About Time is probably my all-time favorite movie, like, or at least it's definitely my all-time favorite rom-com, and it's so emotional and just so beautiful. And so if this even like comes close to that, I think I will absolutely love it. This is another one I've been trying to squeeze into book club. So you guys, if you're watching, hello, one of these books we have to read for book club, okay? That's all I'm saying. But yeah, this is one that I am really excited to read. I think I will read it this summer regardless, even if we don't squeeze it into book club. I think I'm definitely going to be adding it to my list and just going ahead and finally reading it. I've heard really good things. It gets 4.26 on Fable, so I'm very excited about that. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it was a little like fast-paced. I am a very fast talker, and you know, the longer you're here, the more you will get to know that about me. But I did want to squeeze as much into it as possible. I'm looking at my timer. I'm already at 30 minutes. I try to keep these videos short, and it's just like I can't help it. But anyway, I really appreciate you guys being here. I am so excited. I think next week we're going to be doing my April wrap up and May TBR, which is insane. I feel like I literally was sitting in this exact same spot, exact same shirt in January, doing my January wrap up, February TBR as my first video. And I can't believe it's already May. Like, that's inconceivable. So anyway, I digress. I love you guys. I appreciate you being here. I really hope to see you next week with my new video. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe, all of those good things. Come join us over at my Bella's Book Babes. We will be picking a new book very shortly. Maybe one of these recommendations. We'll have to see. So anyway, thank you guys. I love you.